So, one of my classes for college is FYS 101, Self Exploration Through Anime. As a class, it's about as weird as it sounds. I'm not going to complain though, seems easy enough. Anyway, most of the people in that class don't really like anime too much. Like 90% of them said their favorite was Naruto when we did like the meet and greet thing, just because that's, the easiest thing to say. Uh, our first project was to make a anime collage of our favorite anime character and basically spend 3 minutes or so explaining why they're so cool. Me being the ultimate weeaboo shitlord that I am, decided to do the ultimate flex and make it on Cirno from Touhou project, which I'm well aware, technically not an anime, but I do what I want, fight me. It it went well, all things considered. Everyone was laughing the whole time. I had someone record it on my phone, but the audio got corrupted like halfway through, so it's completely unusable. But I still want to show this true masterpiece to the world. So my solution, just re-record the entire thing. And as you can see from this screenshot on the screen, I did in fact do this presentation in front of a class, and it was in fact recorded, but the recording isn't that good to begin with, and the camera angle's not very good, and there's like this big blank space at the bottom that's just completely unrelated to the video. And point is, I wanted an excuse to redo it anyway, so without further delay, here's my anime collage of Cirno. You see this adorable blue-haired little girl right here? Her name is Cirno, the ice fairy of the Great Lake. She should be an inspiration for everyone. I don't care who you are, where you are, and what you're doing. You should be inspired by this tiny little ice fairy. Cirno's dream is to become the absolute strongest in the entire world. She has the ability to manipulate cold, allowing her to freeze almost anything. Her ice attacks can reach temperatures around 0 degrees Kelvin, according to some sources. She spends most of her time practicing her ice powers by freezing frogs, of all things. Cirno first appeared in Touhou 6 Embodiment of the Scarlet Devil as the second stage boss, where she flies around and challenges the player to a fight simply because she believes she is the strongest and can't be beaten. Being the second stage boss, however, means the player can cut through her like a hot knife through some frozen English beef. Even from her first appearance, Cirno doesn't really have any bearing on the narrative of the Touhou franchise. She kind of just shows up and fights the player in an attempt to prove how strong she is. This is a trend that continues for every single Touhou game, including Touhou 7, where she makes her second appearance ever. The game revolves entirely around an eternal winter being cast over the land, yet despite Cirno being an ice fairy, she doesn't really have any bearing on this story. She doesn't even get a single line of dialogue. Instead, she's replaced by Letty Whiterock, who has yet to make another appearance in any Touhou game. Cirno's next appearance is in Touhou 9. Everyone else is panicking because spring is happening and it's way too strong this year, with flowers blooming too much and the fairies being overactive. Yet, despite all this chaos ensuing, Cirno's just flying around and playing with flowers like a child. You might be able to see a pattern here. Despite wanting to be the strongest in the entire land of Gensokyo, she's very dumb and not very strong. She's frequently referred to as an idiot by everyone in her world. She has the mind of a child, and even in one of the instruction manuals is labeled as an idiot directly. The cards are kind of stacked against her here. So, why do I think a idiot and a weakling should be a point of motivation for everyone, everywhere. Well, she may not be very smart, and she definitely isn't very strong, but she keeps trying. Some might call it dedication, some might call it stubbornness, some might call it stupidity, but whatever you want to call it, it's what makes so many people like her as a character. She will face any opponent even when she is outclassed and outmatched in every way. She will see the fight to the finish, and she is a fan favorite character and undeniably one of the most recognizable characters in the Touhou series, even to those who know nothing about it, just because she keeps trying, failing, getting back up, and repeating the process. But you're not here for a history lesson, are you? You're here to learn about those sick Cirno memes, aren't you? Well, don't worry, I'm getting to that. It is undeniable that within the Touhou franchise itself, Cirno is a meme juggernaut. Her meme ability landed her own spin-off manga, a spin-off game, and some other stuff we'll get to later. So, without any further delay, I'm going to share with you some interesting facts and memes and other things that center around Cirno between the fan works, the spin-off manga, the games, and really any other popular Touhou-related media. Alright, let's get this one out of the way first. Cirno is undeniably one of, if not the strongest fairies in the entire Touhou series. I mean, that's not saying too much, because most of them are just disposable cannon fodder, but she's shown to be strong enough to keep up with some of the top-tier Touhou characters. She can't win against them, but she still keeps up. The only other contender for strongest fairy is Clown Piece, but there's a whole nother debate to be had there. I mean, you're comparing an ice fairy to a hell fairy. I don't think that's fair, but whatever. Cirno at one point was just straight up eaten by a giant toad. The two characters have very different takes on how this event went down, but she says that she managed to fight her way out of the beast by freezing its insides. But the toad is completely fine. I choose to believe that the toad has superpowers and was able to heal from this freezing damage, and completely ignore his story where he says he just got annoyed from the stupid little ice fairy. Despite looking like a 9-year-old, Cirno is at least 60 years old. You know what that means? She's legal, boys. And I do mean boys, because Touhou creator Zune has stated that there are no gay people in Gensokyo. Be gone, homosexual. Cirno has sponsored a milk-based energy drink line in her likeness. In Cirno's spin-off manga, she got together with a team of other strong fairies and has fought multiple strong top-tier Touhous like Okina, who have control over dimensions and are described as literal gods. That's right, with at least a few other fairies, Cirno is strong enough to fight gods. Cirno is technically immortal. You see, all fairies are based on some aspect of nature, be it a tree, a rock, a river, a pond, anything. And as long as that aspect of nature still exists, the fairy can be reborn once destroyed. Cirno is officially described as an ice fairy, so as long as ice exists, she will be able to reform. So, unless you're going to travel through space and melt every single meteorite that has bits of ice inside of it, you can't kill her for good. Cirno has taught her own math class at least twice, and has also been in university for 9 years, which, oddly enough, implies she was smart enough to somehow get through high school. Cirno has at one point tried to run a stand selling water-flavored shaved ice. Nobody bought any for some reason. Marissa Kirasame has commented in her grimoire how Cirno's spell cards are surprisingly complex and, with a little refinement, could be actual threats in a Danmaku battle. Also, can we point out how Marissa says heck? Such a sweet and innocent magician. In Touhou one of the Touhou fighting spin-off games, she fought the god of the sun, who is also a bird, but that's a completely different story. And she won that fight. That's right. Cirno, the ice fairy, fought the physical embodiment of the sun and nuclear fusion and won. But the true pinnacle of her accomplishments comes from Touhou 16, Hidden Star in 4 Seasons. It only took her 15 years and 10 games, but after defeating the Sun God in the Touhou fighting games, she came back to the main series with a suntan, a sunflower, and was one of 4 playable characters. Cirno was the physical representation of the summer season in Touhou 16, and she can finally say she stands amongst the strongest characters in the series. She may be dumb, she may be weak, but sheer willpower has put her among the stars. Cirno is a beloved character in the franchise, no matter who you ask. And her adventures are far from over. In the future, she's bound to go on and do even more ridiculous things and tell even more ridiculous stories. She's become so beloved, she's one of the few characters to have been immortalized in the form of actual merchandise. I paid $140 for this. Also one of the 6 Touhou characters to actually have merchandise. See this? I didn't pay it. I paid $140 for this and I don't regret it.